So thematic tech investing, cybersecurity, robotics, cloud computing, electric vehicles, social media, etc., has waxed and waned in the last decade, But there is no doubt that artificial intelligence ETFs, and I'm talking about things like IRBT or bots or Robo, that's ROBO, and you see several of them that are up here. They have recaptured some interest in the investing public. The problem is defining exactly what an AI investment looks like and trying to figure out what companies are exposed to AI. Here's what's really interesting about what's happening at this conference. The impact is already being felt by the financial advisory community. Jason Pereira is a senior partner and financial planner at Woodgate Financial, and he's been speaking on how financial advisors are using artificial intelligence. Not what stocks to pick, how they're using artificial intelligence. There are amazing AI tools that financial advisors can now use. So Pereira described to me how it's now possible, for example, and we'll talk about this, to generate financial podcasts with just snippets of your own voice. You just plug in a text and it can generate a whole podcast without ever saying the actual words. How do you generate the text? Well, in theory, you could go to ChatGPT and say, for example, write me 1,000 words about current issues in 401ks and rewrite it slightly for a specific audience. You get the idea. So I want to discuss this. Jason Pereira is here. He's the senior partner and financial planner at Woodgate Financial. Brian Portnoy is the founder of Shaping Wealth. He's leading a different panel on how advisors can stop talking about numbers and returns and start offering human-centric advice. Thank you both for joining us. It's quite amazing, this AI story. Tell me a little bit about the concept here, because we used to do panels on AI and how it was going and what was going on, and it was mostly about, oh, this is how you can invest, AI ETFs, AI stocks, but now the advice is about what the financial advisors themselves can be doing.
Absolutely. Well, generative AI has changed the game, because now it's taken it from a concept or technology that was being coded on to something practical and applicable that people can use, and is now being leveraged in everyday planning software. So we've gone from the idea, from the point of this is the potential, to the early stage of the potential actually happening. And what we're seeing happen is it's getting deployed upon every level or every possible tool set that the advisor uses, meaning that the time that we take for administrative back office research generation tasks is being truncated dramatically in the next little while. So things that took 10 hours might be down to 20 minutes, freeing up an incredible amount of time for deeper client relationships and additional tasks.
You know, what's amazing to me is just listening to you. We had a half-an-hour conversation about, 2-3 weeks ago, just to talk about this. And I said, can you show me some examples? You gave me some amazing examples where new AI programs can take a few snippets of my voice,
absolutely,
generate an entire half-hour podcast based on 20 or 30 seconds of me talking into it, and can generate text using ChatGPT and create. Basically, you can create me in a podcast for 30 minutes with me doing no work at all, practically.
Absolutely. And you can do a video podcast, right? So there are audio ones. So you can put your recording into a company called Descript, and then basically put in the text, type it up, copy, paste it, and it will produce your voice in any language. You can do the same podcast in 40 languages if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, grammar's going to be different. Or you can take that same text and do something similar, something called HeyGen, which will produce an AI avatar and have you there reading the text. So you can actually create a video of yourself doing this.
Now, Brian, this is wonderful and appalling at the same time. It's wonderful in that you look at this and you say, holy cow, this guy looks like me. I mean, they're essentially using my images just to generate additional images of me. But at the same time, it's pretty appalling. Like, first off, is Bob out of work? Bob's toast, number one. But number two, isn't there a concern about what is real and what is not, and what is value and what is not value at this point? I mean,
100%. And we've been asking for centuries or millennia, how does this technology disrupt me? How does it maybe make me irrelevant? And now we're living in this moment where we're asking these questions. I focus on something called human first advice. My friend Jason focuses on AI. They're actually the two sides of the exact same coin. The challenge for advisors nowadays is how do I more deeply connect with my clients, because the machines can do so much of the routinized work, building the portfolios, optimizing for taxes. AI can handle a lot of that nowadays, and we're early days. So the question becomes, or one of the questions that me and my firm are trying to answer is, well, how do we become more human? How do we more deeply connect? Because that's going to be the edge. The irony, Bob, is that the deeper human connection is going to be the edge in the time of generative AI.
You know, this is what's so interesting. This conference is it used to be all about advising RIAs on, okay, here's the ETFs you need to own.
Right.
And that's still there, but more important now, I hear, how do you deal with your clients? How do you educate your clients? And some of these RIAs I talk to, they're really frustrated because they have clients saying, okay, why am I not in the Magnificent Seven? Or why am I in the Magnificent Seven? Why should I be in something else? It's sort of like an ADHD client base.
Right.
So how do you educate them to be using behavioral economics, understanding their own behavior, their own biases, to make them better investors in general and make them the word easier to deal with is not quite what I'm getting at, but you do have a problem managing a base of investors who may or may not understand how the investing business actually works.
That's right. So the advisor then pivots from being a mechanical or technical expert who just knows better to being an actual guide. Hey, we're on this journey together to get wherever you want to go, and I'm going to walk alongside you. And part of that is that deeper connection. And the funny thing is, the cutting edge toolkit nowadays for the advisor is emotional intelligence. Yeah. How do I more deeply connect? The flip side is that AI is changing and disrupting what I'm doing, and we're building AI technologies into our adaptive learning systems that can help the advisor learn on the spot in real time. These are the conversations that you should be having with your client.
So it all sounds a little bit touchy-feely, but you know, competition for clients are really intense these days, right? And having someone who can understand this or explain this to the client might give you a competitive advantage, I guess.
Well, so, you know, my friend Jason here is the advisor. I just coach and train advisors. But I'll tell you, if your value proposition in 2024 is, I'm going to pick better stocks and build you a better portfolio, you have some bad news coming. That's not really going to be an edge. Like I said, the irony is that deeper connection is going to be your edge in the age of AI.
And that was never the real value proposition people were looking for anyway. It was what they believed they needed, right? At the end of the day, people weren't coming to us with money saying, I need to beat the S&P by 0.5% minimum to justify your fees or whatever else it was. It was, am I going to be okay? Is the life that I want to live going to be possible? Am I going to put my kids through school? All these questions that we've been evolving to, from moving away from a product-centric industry to a human-centric industry, that's really what they were coming to us for. And what Brian's doing is basically getting us to lean further hard into that, right at the time that the technology is going to take away all the heavy work that it was to just do the basic stuff of opening accounts and picking the right things to put them in. So it's really kind of all happening at the same time in a perfect harmony.
So does this have a name? Is it a movement? I mean, I started to use the word human-centric.
Yeah.
Advice.
So we call the movement human-first advice, or you could say human-centric advice, and it's a pivot from client-centric to human-centric. Client-centric's great, it's personalized, but it's a client saying, hey, I want to retire at age 65 with so-and-so amount of dollars, and then you fill that order. You are sort of an order taker. Human advice is, no, we're on a journey. I'm going to help you get there. And we know that the value of the financial plan is that it needs to be changed over time because it's outdated within a year of it being written. And that adaptive mindset is part of being human.
It seems like it's a move away from numbers. Like we beat the S&P 500 in the 4 of the last 5 years, and here's what we can do. And it's sort of like an outperformance game.
That's right.
And moving away from those numbers and more towards how do you get to your goal?
Yeah.
We're people who help you manage your dreams.
That's
and
right.
That's what we're in the dreams business.
We are
not in the number business.
I would say we're in the story business. You know, I always say that we weren't born as calculators, we were born as storytellers. And what the modern financial planner does and is, believe it or not, is help someone keep writing their life story, because the numbers don't have the emotional impact we think that they might. More isn't usually the solution, enough is, but enough's always a story.
But to quote Clayton Christensen, people weren't aren't buying 3/4-inch drill bits. They were looking for 3/4-inch holes. At the end of the day, the numbers were the drill bits. The tools were the drill bits. It was all this stuff that we were providing that helped them accomplish that dream that they wanted. The dream was the 3/4-inch hole. That was the purpose. And at the end, and what's happening is, again, by digitizing and using AI to leverage all this, it's, like I said, truncating the advisor's time and everything else, and letting us spend more time with the human to form those deeper connections and better understand what it is that's driving them.